Welcome back for the final time tonight as we close out this second series. It's only the second time Antic have played, but they wasted no time in terms of getting to business and getting the job done. 20 kills in what, 26 minutes? It was an absolute stomp, to put it lightly, and you can't really imagine it going any differently in game 2 here, Max.
No, look, I hope for the sake of Fury that it does go a little bit differently, but if you're Antic, that is a textbook game from start to finish, right? If you're the coach, you come out of that, no notes. You know what? Good job, boys. You pat him on the back and you send him off into game 2, and that's exactly where we're heading now.
We certainly are. So opening it up this time with Fury getting a chance to lock in their blue side favored composition. What, in fact, that will be, we'll have to wait and see, because they've actually banned away to Seraphine regardless of the side they're on. So really looking to try and prevent anything from taking place weird and wacky in that bot. And you can only imagine this is something they've either figured out from scrimming each other or just a general feels vibe, knowing that Draku likes to cook stuff up.
Yeah, Seraphine is definitely a pretty prolific and pretty annoying bot lane as well. You mentioned this earlier, but the fact that you can pair Seraphine with so many other champions like a Karma just make it really, really annoying to deal with in that lane. So taking that away, making sure that you're going to have at least somewhat of a standard bot lane is something that, you know, perhaps could be reassuring for Fury. Now, the question is what they go towards for this 1P, right? Whether they want to opt into a Varus or a Kalista. I think that those are kind of the two front runners at the moment, especially with all the other AD carries being banned. I could see a world in which Lucian perhaps makes it through too, depending on what they want to play, but with how much fun Antic are having, I think they're fine either way.
I think they're not going to be too concerned, right? Sure, they see the Maokai ban. That is that knee-jerk reaction we were even discussing during the game, right, as to how pear-shaped things went for them, especially in the jungle. But the Karma gets banned, and you start to wonder, yes, surely it's an AD carry pick in this first rotation, but what could it be? Zai is also another champion that Huber's found a fair bit of success on, also for the self-sustain of bailing yourself out of some pretty poor situations. But is it first pick worthy, especially when you can't pair it with the Rakan? Certainly not. So out comes Kalista.
I don't want to say it, but I said he was playing Varus and Kalista today, and he's playing Varus and Kalista today. So
good point.
Anyway, before I'm going to stop stroking my own ego for a
I'll
second
stroke it a little bit longer.
but
You know what? That's what happens when you've been teammates with him in order. You got the insight, you got the knowledge. That's why you're the analyst.
But here we go, Skimmy. We talk about cooking them up. We talk about Senna being locked in and the amount of variety Senna provides. We've seen Senna be played both support and AD carry, actually. So even in that sense, she's a flexible champion, but it provides so many options for Draku to go towards, right? Where he wants to whip out something similar to what he used to play in top lane, whether that be a Cho'Gath or a Sion or a Tahm Kench even. Just makes the game so much harder to predict if you are Fury.
I mean, as you say, there are so many variations you can play in the spot lane. It becomes a bit of a living nightmare to try and figure out what it really will be. I mean, if you think about a Senna Sion, for example, you're even having Sion mid lane internationally, right? So it's a flex upon flex where you really have no idea what is going on. But the Xin comes out to play, so Antic are happy, and Nox gets his hands on the Trundle, which has been his go-to when Xin's been denied.
Yeah, Trundle has a very nice matchup into the Jin Zhao, at least in the 1v1, right? You do beat him up. The issue comes with your agency in those team fights, right? Trundle is traditionally, you know, a very hard champion to make value out of in these team fights because he is purely limited to that single target, right? He can steal some resistances, he can DPS one target, but beyond that, he's not really providing too much value. So it's going to be interesting to see how Fury can use this really early game power that they have through the Kalista and through the Trundle to actually make a dent in Antic before they can scale with this center.
As you say, the center pairing is seemingly going to be the Tahm Kench. There's a world in which I was wondering, knowing that Draku likes to cook things up, perhaps like a Senna Ornn in the bot lane, but given that these games aren't even going late enough for his ornaments to probably come into play, maybe put that one on the back burner for a little bit, right? Obviously with the Tahm Kench to devour, incredibly invaluable, and really I would say is a massive shutdown into what Kalista's looking to try and achieve.
Oh, it's huge, and same with Trundle, right? The second that someone gets ulted by Trundle, you eat him, you get him out of harm's way. While they're so squishy, you're able to move quite nicely throughout that lane phase as well because of how much sustain you have in that 2v2. So now they've banned away the Renata, they'll probably take away another Kalista pairing as well. And suddenly you're left with quite a dire situation towards this bot lane, right? We've got a Kalista once again who, unless she's able to get stuff done early, is going to have quite a hard time into this Jin Zhao, into this Tahm Kench.
We'll have to see what their pairing will be as the Bard also gets pinched away and you're starting to think, okay, you've got your hands on that really strong champion, but you need some way to make sure it can be aggressive. If these enchanters are being taken away, do you actually flip the script and say, we'll fight fire with fire? You're looking at, I don't know, like a Blitzcrank, an Alistair, even a Leona, these champions that have been very much on the outskirts for such a long time. Or do you say, well, there's still the likes of a Lulu up and available, we can lock that one in instead? Let's see what Fury decide to ban away. They say, look, those last two mid lane champions, they're not going to feature here.
Yeah, look, back to your support question, I'd love to see like a Blitzcrank or a Rel, to be honest. I think that those are the two champions I'd love to see picked up for the support position, just to have that ability to Tahm Kench to break those shields, right? I think that's all you need.
True.
Not all you need, but certainly a big component of being able to actually beat these Tahm Kench lanes, right? Or else you've got the center shields, you've got the Tahm Kench shields coming out as well. Just makes it an absolute monster to deal with. As Zoranus, once again, gonna head back to his old reliable, wanting to add some even more wins to the W column in his match history.
Well, that's it, wasn't it? It was 14 games before, 7-7. Now that perfect 50% win rate has been broken. He wants to say, look, we can have one series and go to the moon as a result. So the Nile looked good. It certainly did its job. Didn't have to worry about potentially taking into the whole breaker. Grouped up and got it done with the rest of the team. But then Chip says, all right, we've removed away two of those really good control mages that like to scale it up. I'll get the call key. What do you pick him to be this time, Ryoma?
I want to see an Akali. I wanted to see Akali so bad. I think the laning phase isn't horrible, and you have so much value into something like a Kalista Trundle, right? It's actually really hard for them to make use of that. And this Nautilus is an interesting pick here, right? This says to me that they are wanting to go quite ham towards this bot side. They are wanting to find value early. The thing with Nautilus to Tahm Kench is that the longer the game goes on, the harder it becomes to actually do anything. Because not only if you hook the Tahm, will you not be able to kill him, but also if you hook one of Tahm Kench's teammates, he'll just be able to devour them. So this to me is Findo saying, okay, we're all in, we're dialed in on this early game, we're going to make use of our bot lane and get to the point where perhaps a Corki, perhaps a Cassante have scaled enough to carry us over that finish line.
Well, it completes your point from before, right? We're sort of along the same veins. So we want an aggressive support to go in the spot lane, knowing that Renato and Bard have been taken away. So maybe there's a limitation. Maybe Rails is not available for them, and the Nautilus feels like it's going to be a stronger option in the early game to prevent them having to worry too much about those scaling shields. But one thing that's really caught my interest, right, is the fact that the Orianna and the Azir have been banned away, but they've forgotten about arguably Ryoma's best champion in Syndra. It's his most played by a country mile, 63 games in his competitive history, and the second is Azir at 48. I think that speaks volumes for me, right? So there's another champion along that same kind of conversation path. I'm expecting some scary things to take place again.
I mean, he's got more games on Syndra than probably most of the players on Fury do in their entire careers.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, that speaks to how long he's been not only playing the champ, but playing in general. And I think that that's one of the issues you come up against when you're drafting against Ryoma. It's, okay, what are you bad? Because you think about it, oh, he's really good at Azir, we should probably take that away, it's a really strong pick. Oh, he's really good at Orianna, we should take that away. And then suddenly, you just work your way down the list of champions Ryoma's good at, and you don't have enough bans for it, right? So I think Syndra here, they're saying, is like the lesser of those three evils. We saw what he did on Orianna, and I think it would be foolish to allow him to do the same thing again, especially when paired with the Xin Zhao. But Syndra into Corki, an absolute menace of a matchup if you are able to get ahead, if you are able to just dominate him in the lane.
And the thing that scares me more than anything, Max, is the fact that if you're hot on the money as the Syndra, you can completely negate the benefit that the package offers, right? You hit him with one scat of the week, and he's got a package straight away out of harm's way. You realize that he could just die at any moment. So this feels like an exciting one to keep our eyes on. And certainly a case of you chucked out a few bans towards me, but I'm going to make sure that you feel punished. But those bans were wasted. Well, Fury and Antic came into this one tied in 5th position, but that deadlock is looking to be broken here tonight as Antic absolutely crushed it in Game 1. And we'll be hoping for a similar outcome here in Game 2. But Fury have changed things up, got themselves a couple of pocket picks, a couple of strength in the meta picks. But will it be enough to upset the odds?
Now, Skimmy, a little bit of a sigh of relief here from Fury as there's no level 1, at least for now, coming in from the side of Antic, right? Acknowledging that this Kalista Nautilus is a very strong level 1 combo. They don't really want to be running into that. I'd even wonder whether, if you're Fury, you look for something level 1, right? That is kind of Trundle's strong point, especially with this lethal tempo and his chomp, able to steal away that AD and able to really just beat on any single jungler in that 1v1, but instead going to opt for a standard level 1. And see where he moves as they complete their clear.
Yeah, must be so happy, as you say, a major sigh of relief, a more standard affair. They've taken out the cheese of the bot lane with those potentials for a Seraphine. They still have to endure that of a Senna and Tahm Kench. It feels like a long, long time since we've last seen this in the LCO, but it's come back. And it's come back stronger than ever. and I suppose continues to give Riot a headache as to how they try and balance this champion. Is it an AD carry? Is it support? Nobody really knows. They're farming, the next minute they're not. But ultimately, incredibly strong with the support rework. You get the Bloodstone, you got the Yomus, and you just do so much damage when it doesn't feel like it should be possible. So we'll see how Hooper handles this one. He did go for that first pick on the Kalista. Will he be able to be as strong as it was for King? As for top lane though, I'd imagine it's probably the most passive of all the free lanes.
Yeah, it's pretty much non-interactive until level 6 comes through for the Cassante, at which point there is a tiny bit of solo kill threat, but even then, Zoranus on this Gnar, we can see that besides his one death last game, he is very nimble, he is very able to get out of this situation, so just allowing Gnar to get control of the wave in the early game shouldn't be too difficult for him to crash these waves, get some favourable resets in, and come back to lane with a slight advantage.
Advantage right now is certainly favouring that of Fury, building up a massive wave in the spot lane, looking to try and cash it, or crash it, and then cash it with the amount of gold that'll go their way. But Scatterweed connects, one more auto attack will get it done, and you just can't beat Ryoma and Syndra. There's first blood.
63 games, and he is making it known here in game 1 with the first blood coming out at 3 minutes. Just a pure solo kill. No summoners, no jungler intervention, just a pure mechanical 1v1 as Nox. Looking onto Swiper here, he does have the smart advantage.
He does, but it's going to draw the attention from the bot lanes as well to try and fight fire with fire. Straight 3v3 as the depth charge comes out. Oh, I said a depth charge, that is the Abyssal Voyage. As we jump on through looking for the knock onto Hooper, and Hooper's the focus, and Hooper is the kill! He'll fall on down. Meanwhile, the jungler interaction, that's what you mentioned, that Nox, as this Trundle's going to be incredibly strong into the Zen, and they went out on that 1v1. Draku flashes under the tower, but Chirp gets the kill. King answers back by taking Nox, and there were so many skirmishes, it was hard to keep tabs on it all.
It absolutely was hard to keep focus there. You can see it starts off with just a 1v1 with the junglers, right? Nox has the smart advantage, knows he's winning the 1v1 against the Xin Zhao, and that's how it all starts, right? Gets the smart off initially, but look down towards the bot side of your screen, right? You can see that Hooper is being contained all this time. Draku with a really nice Abyssal Voyage gets on towards Hooper, who takes so much damage here. And yes, you know, Nox is able to win that 1v1, but he has to commit flash, he has to go deep into the enemy territory, which will result in him going down to end off the play.
That's what we'd expect to see in the spot lane here, and Norva's getting aggressive, a Trundle wanting to invade, and a center route connecting. No follow-up on this occasion, as it is just going to be left to its own device. But Nox has been, he's got a special affinity, it feels like, towards the spot lane. He's got a point to prove here, that this is a champion I'm much more at home with, and I've got a champion or a bot lane pairing that need to win early, or, much like you pointed out in draft, the scaling, the souls, the shields, it's all too much to bear.
What's really interesting as well, Skimmy, is King just went back then to get a support item. So up until then, I don't believe they actually had a support item in that bot lane. They opted for the pure kind of 1v1 or 2v2 power rather that the starter items give you. So a really nice adaptation into the skirmish-heavy bot lane of a Kalista Nautilus.
Yeah, we saw that a few times. I'll hold that point for 2 seconds, though, as another fight takes place. Roma setting it up beautifully for Swiper to intervene and assist. But actually, a good bit of positioning from Nox as well means that he, from the underside, can assist and prevent that from taking place any further. My previous point, really, when we had that double support meta on 14-1, was the fact that we saw some bot lanes actually just rock up with a Doran's starting item to be as strong as they could be, and then on that first back, then pick up the double support item afterwards. So it seems to be a bit of a common trend here of making sure that the level 1 is as strong as it can be.
Luckily, we've patched out that 14.2 double support thing. That was just the worst. Oh, Ryoma!
Oh, he's just missed. He's just missed. Beautiful attempt. Really like the confidence and the conviction to make it happen, but just a pixel too short to hit that scatter the week after.
It is, and on the bot side of the map, we can see Fury actually getting aggressive on their own accord, right? You can see that Nox is wrapped around here. It's a pretty hard bot lane to dive this center time Kench, but I think they're going to give it a crack.
They have no summoners though for the Antic bot lane. This would be the best time to do it, especially when there's no Devourer as well. In comes the TP looking for the kill. They will find onto King. They completely ignore Draku, but Zoranus rocks up to the fight. Hooper living pretty right now, who picked up the shutdown and flashes out of vision, and they get in, they get out. The heist is complete.
But that's big though, Skimmy. Yeah, it's a 1-for-1, but ultimately you'd be pretty happy with that. With the amount of CS you're able to deny King from getting, you can see this Kalista already sitting up on 51 CS, feeling good. As we take a look again, right, like you crucially pointed out, there are no summoners, there's no exhaust, no heal. So the second that Nautilus auto attack lands onto King, he is going down.
He certainly is, but Finder will sacrifice himself for the greater good, make sure that he really is the only one really that should be falling, ensure that Nox still continues to farm and still continues to be a bit of a menace, and continues to group up for the very first dragon on this game. Hiding in the bush right now, gonna get revealed, and then realize that we don't have to jump on you. You guys have spotted us out. Dragon is there, that's what they're playing for, but it's all about vision control.
It is about vision control at this point here. You can see that both supports wanting to get around towards this mid lane, trying to make a difference, and allow their mid laners to push up, especially the fact that they have no flashes at this point. But it will be interesting to see what Nox prioritizes here. You can see he's just ticked over to level 5 on this Trundle, a very strong 1v1 duelist. And as opposed to last game where it was all Antic in the bot lane, Fury might actually get their hands on an objective.
You'd certainly hope so. Kalista obviously fantastic at taking these objectives down, as well as strong as the Ren can be, building up the damage onto your champions. It really obliterates these dragons as well. So, phenomenal start for them, a much different affair compared to game 1. And I really feel like if you're talking about mentalities, they've not really been shooken up at all.
No, it feels like they actually have been able to write that off, you know, assign it to some inexperience that they didn't quite have a grasp on last game. This game, instead, they've really turned it around, and it will be interesting to see whether they're able to keep up this pace, right? When you are playing a Kalista composition, it is very important that you keep your foot on the gas. Because you do get outscaled so heavily, you need to make sure you're constantly pressuring, constantly taking objectives. But speaking of pressuring Ryoma...
Relentless, really is relentless. And I think the scaling conversation becomes quite interesting, right? Because you talk about it from a sense of Corki's going to be phenomenal late game. But then you compare that with the fact that, you know, a Syndra is looking to try and get as many splinters as possible, wants 120, currently sitting at 47. And then obviously the Senna wants as many stacks as well. So both of these champions, they're happy if they win early, but they're really gambling for late.
Welcome back to lane, Chirp. Oh, there's just a solo kill.
Yeah, I wonder what's happened here. You can only imagine, with a Ghost and an ultimate being burnt, as Zoranus just said, I've just beat you from afar.
Yeah, so action in all the solo lanes at this point here, and we can see once again another Scout of the Week landing, and this matchup is so brutal. It really does kind of extract the differences in mechanics, as Nox has found Ryoma.
That's beautiful. Really great work there. No flash, no chance to escape, and you're thinking, if he hits the perfect pillar, where can he go? Chirp's been bailed out, and he'll be happy about that one.
Yeah, absolutely will be. I mean, taking advantage, Ryoma, no flash, using it aggressively before is... Here we go, taking another look at the top lane play here. I think Thomasino might end up just getting frustrated with all the poke he's taking from Zoranus. It seems like that will be the case. Opts to go all in here, but crucially, that Q missing is huge, right? That damage there might have been the difference maker, but instead Zoranus able to walk out, up a solo kill, and up 14 CS as well.
Well, being critical of Fury last game with the lane swaps, they're certainly hot on the one to read it this time around, with the bot lanes both being found in top now. Nice little role swap, and in fact, I would say this actually favors Fury, with Thomasino being bot first.
Yeah, they took advantage of the massive wave crash top lane. That was kind of the reason that they went for that, to make sure they didn't give up the 2 and a bit waves that were crashed underneath that top lane turret following the solo kill. So this Kalista has kind of just been able to move around the map, mowing up CS wherever she likes, and is in quite a good spot heading towards that Blade of the Ruined King.
Certainly is. That major breakpoint is certainly what you're hunting for. Has the cull for the second game in a row, so really is quite keen to be aggressive, but at the same time, read it up for all that extra gold that you can cash in later on. They are going to group up, and they are going to look towards the very first set of these Void Grubs for themselves. As Antic picks up the very first 3, they'll look to deny any of those Void Mites from spawning, and give us a second game in a row, actually, where it's just shared between.
Nice little split there. You can see that in a response to this, Zoranus will be able to walk down towards that bot lane and get some plates into his own back pocket. Thomasino opting to lean up to make sure that if a fight did break out, he would be able to respond. But this Gnar has worked himself into quite a nice position here in this top lane 1v1. You can already see 20 CS up. Building towards his first item compared to Thomasino, who's only sitting on that chain vest and boots. So definitely a nice position to be in if you're Zoranus.
It is a nice position to be in as the Golden Shadow comes across, and you're looking at Ryoma thinking the ultimate's there, but will he pull the trigger? He knows how close he's been on multiple occasions, actually getting close to lethal. But this time holds his own, needs more orbs available to dish out all that damage. And it's easier really for him to just keep the lane at arm's bay, if you will, right? And say, well, my jungler can just do as he pleases, because he knows that mid lane's always going to be a point of priority.
That's the thing, and the question is, how do you actually respond to this as Fury, right? Trundle isn't the best champion at setting up a gank. Realistically, you'd want to have someone else with you, like a Nautilus, to be able to land that guaranteed CC, especially if there's Flash. But speaking of CC...
There is that guaranteed CC. It starts initially with the Fade's Call, the Flash, the Leap, and the straight disengage away. I respect your three-man dive attempt, but I'm not going to entertain it here today. Now, back to base Chirp goes. He's been forced back to base a fair few times this game. It'll act as a budget teleport, if you will, with all the extra mobility, or movement speed rather, to get himself back to this lane, but it's a little bit early before that second dragon spawns.
And that's the crucial thing. He's not going to have this available, you'd assume. Probably wanting to use it to push a lane or make a play towards this bot lane, but there's no real waves available, and that's the thing. When you are getting so far behind in this mid lane 1v1, you are forced to take these inopportune bases. You are forced to use the package like this more as a utility tool as opposed to an offensive one. So we can see if he holds onto it for a little bit here, but likely will be forced to use it in the early stages of this dragon fight.
And it's going to feel pretty poor if you just have to burn it on the next wave to make sure that you do have that lane priority to guarantee that you can play towards the second dragon. That's what you'd imagine it's going to be relegated to at this stage, as Antic control the mid lane. Fury are hiding in the shadows, waiting to try and capitalize on anybody they can. There is the package, there is the drive-by. They split the fight in half with the pillar, guaranteeing that Swiper can go nowhere, but he flashes to safety. The Crescent Guard already burnt. He ticks down to the ignite that Fido had dealt him. And into a 4v5 they go. I think they've just done enough here to make sure second dragon is theirs.
They might have Skimmy. I'm not sure if Zoranus wants to let Hooper off for free here, as the Scout of the Week will miss. But that's just a 1-for-0. The dragon is available, and Nox is heading towards it now with Chirp and Thomasino to back him up. But Swiper's respawn Skimmy. He's making his way down.
He certainly has, and Antic does have an HP advantage. If nothing more, they've gone for the flash, and he's rooted in place all his teammates. That is not what you want to see. And I think King's just licking his lips there, thinking that's just too easy. That is far too easy to swing the balance back in our favor.
It's too easy because Antic managed to split Fury. You can see that the bot lane, this Kalista Nautilus, they want to get involved in the play, but they simply can't. They can't run through the 4 members of Antic. So instead, you've got the solo laners and the jungle of Fury isolated by themselves, and what should have really just been a dragon take, a second dragon pushing them towards that potential soul, ends up getting flipped against them.
And he does, for all the good work. It got a little bit undone in a lot of moments there, and really, it's forced Chirp to then go split pushing journeys. It all starts off with a beautiful package, and Swiper's completely caught.
Yeah, the package is nice to split the fight here. You can see that the Aftershock does nice value in getting Findo out. Swiper just not tanky enough, not tanky as I think he thought he was. Jumping into the middle of 5 members there, ends up going down. But here is really the crucial moment here, right? You can see that Hooper wants to deal with this cannon wave so that Antic can't siege on the turret, but instead this results in them getting separated. You can see he loses his health bar, and now you've just got this Cassante and Corky down towards this bot side. There's nowhere near enough damage to burst this dragon down.
As you say, right, Fido and Hooper have no avenue inside that river, grouped up as a 4-man contingency. Antic to say whoever's in front of us will take down. Really was just as simple as that. Now this top lane Adder is hanging on for dear life as Tonus says, nice gank. That tower was always going to fall. You wasted your time.
Yeah, that tower was going down. Zoranus once again proving that he is incredibly nimble on this Gnar. But it's nice to see a change of pace from Fury, right? They are actually up gold at this point in the game. They are making proactive plays to push forwards to take objectives. As Hooper might be caught out here. He does have Flash.
Yeah, the Tongue Lash slows you so much, makes it so hard for players to Kalista, but is able to get himself back to the safety of mid. The rest of Antic, though, are swarming around in the area, waiting for some prey to present itself. And also, well, if you're not going to show up, then we'll just go for this next objective. Another Herald in their hands would certainly make life easy. But will Nox have something to answer back with?
I don't think he can go for this. The TP is available for Ryoma, but Thomasino doesn't have his own. So if they did choose to fight, it would be a 4v5 with Mega popping at the same time. I think you just give this over, which is exactly what they're going to do. Is this bot lane, even Thomasino can't stand against Ryoma.
Nobody can deal with him. This champion is so annoying to deal with, and as you said, right, arguably Ryoma's best champion. You banned away a few, but you just can't target his champion pool. He's played so many across his entire career that it feels like a bit of a waste in the banning phase. And ultimately he says, well, I can TP up, but we don't even need to because I'm just that strong. Can he though, Max? Handle the 1v2? Of course he can, but max range in the hook. Nautilus, what a champion, gets knocked up, gets stunned up, but still manages to push them back. There's the ultimate. Sweet dreams to you, Findo, as the cavalry arrive. There is the Devour. Nox locked inside the chain, straight into the minions. Beautiful little bit of tech there from King as a double kill comes out.
I, quite frankly, have no idea how Ryoma didn't die there. He just landed the most insane scout of the week of all time to make sure that even once he got hit by the hook, he didn't go down, right? He didn't even have to use flash. He didn't have it there. So what starts off as a simple play, Ryoma's not done. He wants to make a play top line as well.
He certainly isn't done. This guy really is wanting to get the MVP this game. He is everywhere. Unbelievable performance from this man.
And this is a Syndra who is becoming a problem very quickly. Luden's companion already completed. You can see needlessly large rod in the inventory as well, as we can see this replay once again, right? The hook lands max range, but look at that scout of the week, right? The second the Cassante W stops being channeled and he becomes stoppable, he ends up getting taken down. And just to add insult to injury, why not kill Findo with your ultimate?
It's phenomenal. Just the patience, the understanding, and the timing. The timing above all else there. Not to feel that you're in a dire situation, that you can hold your own 1v2. You're not just panic flashing away. It wasn't even up and available, Max. That's how strong he was. And yeah, really at this point, a bounty in his head. He's playing side lanes like he's a bruiser.
He can kind of do whatever he wants here, especially with the way that Antic are willing to move with him. You can see 4 members committing to get that vision in the topside jungle, allowing Ryoma to push freely. Keep in mind that there is a Herald in this inventory as well, in the inventory of this Xin Zhao. So if he does want to head towards this mid lane, that's always an option to break it open. Alternatively, just bring this powerhouse of a Syndra towards the lane and break it for free.
Certainly seems to be the case. They've heard you on this one here. 3 towers taken now. Thomas Dean on the flank looking for the kill. Rome is the focus, and why wouldn't it be? Instant devour from Draco though. Protect the President. He gets a massive shield and he's running for the hills. He's got his flash up and available now, but he doesn't need to use it. He'll probably use it aggressively instead. Oh, that damage into Nox. That's the tank, but absolutely destroyed. Make it free as they continue to press their W key, step forward and take down everybody in their sight.
That Devour absolutely saves the day for the side of Antic. It looks like a good collapse from Fury onto the Syndra, who didn't have flash. It was just coming back up. But crucially, Draco uses that ultimate. It means that there's no knockback coming through. There's no CC from the Nautilus able to land. And once that Syndra spat out, he is completely fine. As here we go again, you can see the TP from Thomasina actually is off vision here. But crucially, Draco is the one who saves the flank. He means it gets Ryoma out of dodge, which enables him to DPS. And the second the Syndra is able to walk forward unafraid, the fight is done.
It is terrifying at this stage of the game, right? For all the good work Fury did in the early game, for how strong Hooper was to try a bit of a menace. He's found that first kill and not found a kill thereafter. They've tried to be creative, they've tried to flip the lanes, they've tried to upset the balance, and you can see that he's trying as hard as he can. Nearly at 8,000 gold, the second most in the game. But it's hard to not talk about the Syndra. Ryoma really is having such an unbelievable series.
And that's the hard thing in these fights, is how does this Ballista actually play, right? Because you have to avoid the Xin Zhao jumping on you, you have to avoid getting slowed by the center, as they're looking again on mid lane.
Certainly are trying it again, see what they can find. This time around, Devour's about to come up forward in about 5 seconds. He's going to get swarmed around. No matter thick skin is going to protect you from this one. And it's Findo that actually takes the kill. That is probably as bad as it can get.
I admire the tenacity as Syndra.
What a champion. What a beautiful champion. Swiper says, oh, thank you so much. I love my mid laner. You can have one, I'll kill steal the other. That's essentially a triple kill.
Ryoma just feels like he is a cut above the rest at this stage. You can see how much damage that Scout of the Week did, giving Swiper the 2 freest kills of his entire life. And this Baron's up. It's only 20 minutes. There's a Rift Herald pushing in the mid lane. Antic wanting to recreate the dominance of Game 1.
They certainly do. It took a little bit longer to up the ante in this one, right? A few more kills going the way of Fury, a few more chances for them to claw back at that gold lead. But ultimately, the tune has never changed. They only collect dubs, and they only look to assert their dominance. It's no longer a case of playing for 1v1s. They like to entertain 1v2s, and once again,
no way.
Zoranus is so slippery. Don't tell me he gets away again.
Skimmy, I got bad news. I think he does.
Unreal. Unreal.
That's going to hurt when you're losing Baron, you're losing 3 kills on the other side of the map, and you can't even kill that one Nah, but it's this Syndra once again, and we can see the play. So Antic are, getting capitalized on this mid wave. That's props to Fury for making sure they're not letting up. They are trying to force some mistakes, and they do end up getting Dragku. Obviously, it goes over to Finder, which is less than optimal, but it is this play here. They see this control ward placed, and I think they get a little overconfident because of the death of Dragku. Look at that Syndra damage.
It's unethical. It's illegal. It is disgusting, and it needs to be stopped right now. I actually want to check in and see how many stacks he has, because 85 on the Syndra, or rather the Senna, so Senna's certainly hit that critical mass, or getting close to, as another route goes. That doesn't connect this timing with the Abyssal Dive, as Drake looks to try and lock in place one person. They'll turn their attention to Kasate. This guy's so beefy, but even he can't withstand that many members targeting him at once. And with the Baron already being taken, I mean, Antic can do as they please.
They absolutely can here, and I think if you're Antic, you just set up your Gnar in one of the side lanes or the mid lane and get him to push these waves, right? You look at the CC available from Fury. Besides the Nautilus, there's not really too much to actually pull the trigger on someone who's extended on the side lane. So I think you're very happy to just keep this Gnar by himself, tell Zoranus to stay alive, keep the waves baroned up, and just play around this Syndra. Because at this point, anyone who's in range of a Scatter the Weak is in range of death.
Well, they certainly are. You can see that all the stacks, all 120 splinters have been achieved. That's a 15% boost to the damage, nearly at 500 ability power already, and we're only 20 minutes in. So you really are, without any magic resist, just taking true damage. It's a little bit disgusting as they showcase how strong they are by breaking open the base. They'll take one inhibitor, but they'll definitely be looking for a team fight after Final starts things off. In jumps Chub with the pack, and we're going to try and put up that big base defense. The chomp comes out! They protect him a little bit longer, but Thomas is going to drag Roma right back in. He flashes to safety! How did his members live? Dragku on the great escape right now, but even Nox can't chomp him on down. There's just no food, there's no chance. And that really looked like as best as it would get for Fury.
I don't believe it's Gimme. I don't know how Ryoma time and time again manages to cheat death because of Dragku. He gets himself out there, TP's back in. It's a full HP Syndra. They want to crack this base.
They want to end this game as well. 26 minutes is the number to beat. That's what they did it in game one. And at 23 minutes, they basically put themselves in a prime position to replicate that again. Back to base they go for one more big shot. Another Magi's picked up, of course. What would it be without that in the game?
Why not? Get the whole team Magi's at this point. They're playing that well. I think you could justify it on just about every single member. But Ryoma in particular is just untouchable. It really feels like that was the moment. Like you said, there is a nice engage here from Findo to use the ult flash to kind of disrupt and catch the rest of Antic off guard. And the crucial thing they do here is separate Dragku, right? The package comes through to separate him as well. But just before Ryoma goes down, he's able to make up the distance that saves his mid laner. And once you're not able to get on King, once you're not able to get on Ryoma, there's just no way you're winning the fight.
They can't kill the carries. That's the most impressive part of this entire game, right? They've tried and tried and tried, but every single time Antic have found a response. They've clawed themselves out of what looks like a bit of desperation and a little bit of disaster. But here they go again. Primed ready to go for that final inhibitor. All eyes turn to the bot lane as the passive pressure of those supers start to crash in.
The pressure is absolutely mounting here. Corki is relatively strong at this point in the game. You can see those rockets doing decent damage. But Findo taking so much himself.
Yeah, he certainly has been. He's going to lose vision for a second as he goes back inside the wall. Actually has to cop an ultimate from Hooper, even to protect him there, despite how close they are. But they can't base defend for much longer. Zoranus being a menace in the mid lane has scored in those supers in. Now top lane has just crashed, and it just draws their attention all over the show. Zoranus says, you can't kill me once. What makes you think you can kill me with 4 members? Out goes the Dawn Shadow. There is the mitigation from the global shield, and they just pick apart the members one by one. Tomasino dying at the top of your screen, getting chased off screen there by Swiper, whilst Ryoma conducts them into a line of stand here, get stunned, and get taken down.
Taken down will also be that third inhibitor. You can see minions pushing in mid, minions pushing in top. The two Nexus turrets in their sights.
This is the last
and a 2-0 to boot.
This really would be that last chance, and they're not going to find it. Find the first one to fall on down as they turn their attention on towards the Nexus itself. And jump Swiper, free that stun! It continues to dazzle. We have been fanboying like you would not believe, but for good reason too. There is the ace to close it out, and back-to-back 20-minute victories.
How can you not love this Antic roster? Game 1, Game 2, the exact same. They come in with a game plan. They execute and they leave no room for mistakes. Yes, the early game wasn't as fast, wasn't as completely destructive as game 1, but the outcome was exactly the same. And Ryoma on that Syndra, I don't know who can compete with that.
At this stage, looking like the best mid laner in the league. They wanted to play another series, and finally they got their chance. They wasted no time at all in wrapping that one up to secure all 3 points. As we jump to a quick break and return to break it all down for you.